Live, live, live. I have to think about that word. Oh, hold on. Man, that's amazing. The reflection. You can really see a lot in the reflection. It's amazing. It's just amazing. All right. This is going to be interesting to some, annoying to others. This is what we're doing. I'm going to embrace the epitome of speciousness. I'm going to show you what it looks like, what it sounds like as best I can. And it still won't be good enough. I promise you that. It's not in my nature. It's not in my nature. This is going to be tough. Here we go. All right. I'm not going to do this word. That word is too big. We've got to pick a small word like little. All right. We're going to pick a word like little. And why on earth? Why on earth would I use a resource to understand the meaning of words like this tool of education and control? I mean, who do these people think they are, providing resources and education and meaning and reason? No, we have to look deeper. We have to look deeper into the subject of the meaning and the secret meaning in the words. We're going to start with the word little because it's just a small word. But guess what else little is? We pull up a dictionary. Dictioniza. Dictionary. Probably.com. Yes, .com. Which, as you know, com stands for communication. And that's exactly what that com means in .com. Now, the word little. Now, think about the word little. Just think about the way that it sounds. Just think about it. Close your eyes. You can't tell whether or not my eyes are open or closed, but we're going to just assume that my eyes are closed. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to think about the word little. And first thing first is lit. Now what this means for the word little is that, like a fire, it's the very beginning of things. When you lit the fire, little. Now till, like you till the ground, like you're going to prepare the ground for the fire. You're going to till the ground, and then you're going to lit the fire. Now, if you're really thinking about the word little, then we have to understand that the word little implies a small fire on freshly tilled ground. Now, there's probably some other ways to look at the word little. Don't get me wrong. Let's not limit ourselves. Now, in regards to the word limit, okay, what in the Philtrum? What is Philtrum? Well, before I even look at the definition of Philtrum, okay, I can understand that obviously it's got something to do with trimming like a beard or a mustache, and the way that it feels when you're done trimming the mustache. So Philtrum obviously has something to do with grooming, and um, and that's about all I got for that one. Obviously, this is the way to interpret language and words. So let's see, what does this word mean supposedly? And I was exactly right. And I was exactly right. 100%. Obviously, the word Philtrum has everything to do with grooming because look, it says the vertical groove on the surface of the upper lip below the septum of the nose, which obviously is where you do the grooming. So it stands to reason that Philtrum, it comes from the phonetic connections, the connections of the phonetical um, infiltrations of meaning, and it stands to reason that feel the way that it feels after you have a trim is going to apply to the Philtrum. So I'm glad they gave this word of the day so I could give you such an excellent example. Butterfly. Butterfly is a fantastic. So see, the very interesting thing that a lot of people don't understand about flies is that their insides, the fly, the I don't have any flies flying around right now, but it's getting to be that season with the what we call the zombie flies. Also, we call the retarded flies. Um, but but anyway, on the inside of the fly, there's a lot of um, mushy, soft goo stuff, right? And and the reason that butterfly is related or butter is related to fly is because butter is of the same consistency. Okay, butter is of the same consistency. I'm imagining holding a piece of butter in my hands, which we'll get to butter because that's a whole different story. There's a lot going on with that word butter too. But if you take the consistency of butter and you just move it around in your fingers, and then you take the consistency of the inside of the fly, it's also like the butter. And that's where we got the word butterfly in the first place, because what happened was similar to the way that the fly is like the butter, there's actually a completely different insect. At least that's what I call it, which we'll talk about insects too, because that's oh, well, I'll just hold off. But this other one, if you take the whole thing with its big fat wings and the soft texture on the wings, and you just ball it up like this. I don't know if you've ever done that, but you just take one of them, the things we call butterflies, exactly the same consistency as inside of the fly and the butter, and you know, combined meaning. This is how um, certain people are capable of really truly understanding the really real meaning of words. So I was going to talk about butter, and then we're going to talk about insects. Um, insects is the different animals, the insects, um, is they don't have relations outside of their body, like flowers, which kind of makes me think of the butterfly for some reason. I'm not sure why, but they have insects, not out um, relations. Okay, so I don't really know much about how bugs do their thing. But what I do know is it's in and not out. That's why they call them insects. Um, Now, there's also different sections of the bug that is called an insect, and the different sections are kind of what make a bug a bug. Um, but then there's the word bug, and that's a whole different one. There's a lot going on with bug because you know how many words it rhymes with. I mean, rug and lug and tug and mug and pug and um, did I said mug, dug, like I dug the hole, which we're getting back to the word. Um, was it litter? Little, little, yeah. Um, but then we were going to talk about butter. So you have the B-U-T sound like, but I have another thought. Okay, so butter is about turn, but turn. Now I know that you're wondering like where's the N coming from? Well, tur and turn are really close in the sound that they make, and that's where tur comes from. Now the way that we know that it can be true is because when you're making butter, okay, you say but and you turn, and turn rhymes with churn, and because turn rhymes with churn, that's how we know that butter that is churned. That's where that word came from, is from churning the butter, and turn and churn are phonetically related. Um, that is how that works. So now, now we need to look up some more words so that I can properly help everybody understand how the meaning of language is just so powerful. We'll take that word right there. That's a good word that comes from close combat. Okay, obviously there's a lot of force and strength in a fight, depending on the two people, right? But when somebody, I mean, you might have heard of the comic books. Um, you might have heard of the comic books, Batman. Okay, I'd never read a Batman comic. I looked at one once, but I'd never read it. Not much into reading, if you ask people that know me. I don't do a lot of reading, but I do a lot of reading in a different way. I look at words and I understand them, and I can help people understand the words in a new kind of way, in a deeper understanding kind of way. Okay, so when you take the word powerful, okay, and you just think about Batman comic, and you have pow, bang, pop. Okay, well, powerful means that you're full of power. Okay, that's what that means. It's kind of obvious. I know I'm stating the obvious here, but even more being full of power, what you're also doing is you're punching something. Okay, that's where the pow comes from. Now the is probably phonetically connected back to turn. Okay, so it's turn. Okay, so when you got a lot of when you're powerful, you got a lot of punches, you got a lot of turning, and you're full of it. There's people that are full of things. Some people are full of power. That's powerful. That's a powerful meaning. Now, you make a good point. You make a good point that there's two kinds of fool. Okay, there's a powerful that fights too much, and that's powerful. Okay, if you fight too much, you're probably a fool. And when you fill a glass of water too much, you're a fool. And that's where we get that word fool from, is because too many people were filling things up all the way past and just wasting. And that's a foolish thing to do. So, you got to think about how these words came to be. And phenomenologically, that that's how that works. Phenomenologically. Um, Yeah, phonetymologically. Um, and then there's power tool, which the power tools do a thing. Remember how I said the in power was related to turning, right? Well, power tools, almost all of them, they either gyrate or they turn, but most of them turn. And that also is all connected and related phonetymologically to like the word or words power tool. So there you go. That's that's what I have to say about that. Now let's look up some popular words. Oh yeah, we can just go through the word of the day for each day. All right, this is Nubilis. Nubilis. So everybody knows about being a noob. Okay, everybody is new to things in life, and sometimes you're a noob, and sometimes you're not a noob. Experts, which we'll probably use that. We'll go to that word next. Expert. We'll go to that word. I have to explain expert. But as for nubilis, okay, sometimes pronounced nubilis, which I can't even really say right, but nubilis is somebody that's got not much noob in them. They're actually quite skilled in what they're doing because they have less noob. And if I'm less of a noob than you are, then that means I'm more skilled than you are. So Nubilis is just somebody that is quite skilled and an expert in what they're doing. Um, it means what does it say? See, I think that they're changing history here. I think that there's probably multiples of timelines in reality because I could have swore that it didn't mean uh, cloudy or foggy like it says there. I could have swore that it had something to do with being a skilled expert at something. But somehow they done changed the timeline again, and we got ourselves a whole new spectrum of time that we're living in right now. I don't even know what I'm gonna do about that. I mean, they done changed the thing on me. It feels like every week we got a new timeline every single week. It's almost like, if you think about it, if you think about the timelines and how they keep changing history, it's almost like every day is a new day. I might have to think on that. I might be onto something there. If I could really, if I could figure that out, I bet you I could make a lot of money off of that right there, that their idea. It's almost like every day is a new day and there's a whole new timeline in front of you. And what's behind you? Well, I know it's all up here, but we got proof. I don't have any proof that Cloudy or Foggy used to say something else for Nubilis, but I don't have any proof. But there's some residue of the proof in the fact that in my head, I remember that word having something to do with being an expert. And I could explain it, right? It's obvious that it's somebody that has less noob in them. So I think again the change of the timeline here. So that's what I see going on. Not everybody's on that. Not everybody's on that. We got Aristarchus, such a rat, sir. Ergo, it was really a personal insult. Aristarchus is a man with a personal insult. A rat, a rat, such as rat. Oh, such rat is oh yeah, because you go backwards and you got a whole different man. I don't even have time. You know, if we go back to the word butter, for instance, and you got to go to retub. I don't know about you, but the process of refinishing a tub is not soft like butter, which makes a lot of sense if you think about it, because you're taking the word and you're flipping it backwards, which means you're going to get an opposite meaning every time. Every time. Uh, like, for instance, we'll take the word little, okay? And we know that if we flip it backwards, we're going to get the opposite of little, okay? L till, okay? L till, okay? L till. So, so we're still tilling the ground for the fire, but instead of litting the fire, we're L in the fire. L in the fire. L in the fire. I don't know what Ellen means, but I bet you I could find out. Let's see what goes on, because maybe it's a big fire. Let's see. Anagrams is research. You got that. L, elevated, an elevated railroad. So you start a fire on an elevated railroad. That would be a big fire. Imagine catching a railroad on fire. That's not going to be a little fire. It's going to be a bigger fire. So there you go. A little backwards, LTL, is going to be a big fire as opposed to lighting a little fire after you till the ground. You till the ground both times. That's what's really fascinating about some words. And then you got words like race car, and those really mess you up because you got a car that races, obviously. But in addition to a race car, right, it's a certain breed, the species, which is what this entire talk this evening is all about, is the species of words and the epitome, epitome, yeah, epitome, the epitome, like you eating the good Lasur green peas from the can. That the Lasur peas are the best. They're just so yummy and sweet. Got a good texture. Um, but you eat them Lasur peas, and a P to me is a P to you. And the topic of this evening is about the species of a P to me. Okay, the epitome of the P to me that's a species. I don't know what species of pea that the Lasur peas are. Maybe the species is Lasur, but a P to me is a P to you. That's what I say every time. Um, so we shall move on. Look back at this word of the day, I think. Click over there. And let's click learn. Word list. Yeah, we like words. Um, oh, yeah. We like puns and pangrams. So, like, you put your grams, like, I guess you could put golden grams, or you could put your graham crackers. Or a gram of graham crackers, maybe that's what he's talking about, in the pan. This has got to be some kind of fried food. Well, I like some fried food sometimes. Let me check out what pangrams are, because I ain't never had nothing like that. My mama didn't make no pangrams for me growing up. I tell you what, a sentence, a verse that includes all the letters of the alphabet. Um, Pangram. I don't really quite understand what that has to do with a Pamgram. Pangram. Pan sounds like clan, and you got the entire alphabet is like a clan, and then gram is like a telegram, so it's like a message of the clan, of the entire clan, something like that. I think that's how that works. I'm pretty sure that we can figure this out together. I'm sure. let's see, alphabet, the best base. Yeah, he was. He's an alpha, and we all know alphas. Don't you want to be one? Everybody wants to be an alpha. Everybody wants to. A backronym. What the? Turned into an acronym by creating an apt phrase whose initial letters match the word as to help remember intonation. Rap has been said to be a backronym of rhythm and poetry. An existing word turned into an acronym. I didn't know that rap was a backronym. Interesting. There's only one way to explain that, folks, and that is they changed the timeline. As I always say, there's only one answer, and the answer is everything is an answer. That's why there's only one answer, because everything is an answer. I want to Let's look up the logical fallacy list. It's one of my favorites. Now, when you're looking through the logical fallacy list, what you want to do is situate yourself so that you can't fall down. Because when you read through I mean, you're going to see a fall. Okay? And if you don't situate yourself in such a way that you are stable and upright, you are going to see a fall. Okay? And nobody wants to see you fall. So the fall I see is the see you fall. And we don't want you falling, and we don't want the sea falling, and any of that. That's just not good. Not good at all. Now, I want to tell you something about this word master. A lot of people have a misunderstanding of the word master. Now, the word master is really special. When you have a ship, okay, the mast, okay, I'm not quite sure what part of the ship that is, the mast, but I know it's on there, okay? I know it's on there. The mast turns, okay? And this goes back to every time you have a word with the sound "ter" in there, you can guarantee there's a missing "n", okay? And I don't know who's been stealing all the "n's" at the end of words and stuff, but there's an "n" thief out there, and that "n" thief is mysterious. Not to be confused with mysterious, which is what we're talking about, the mast on the ship that turns. And the mast is the most important part of the ship. And that's why it's the master, because it's the mast that turns. And that's why it's the most important. So if you're a master, then you're like the thing that leads and causes people to turn whichever way they need to go. And that's how you get the word master and where that word comes from. And the really great thing about this, if you think about it, is that anybody could figure this out, right? It doesn't take a genius. It doesn't take a genius to just look at the word, say it out loud, and figure it out. A child could do this, and that's what's really special. That's what's really special about figuring words. That's what I do. It's one of my specialties. Now, specialty, um, if I were to actually pick the tea that's special to me, I would say that the tea that's special to me is rooibos tea. It's one of my favorites. But I mean, I like some Earl Grey. I like one called Lady Grey. It's another variation on Earl Grey. Um, but words are also a specialty to me that I like to drink. Okay, that's what makes it special. Specialty to me. So I'm not much into lists because there's a lie in every list. They got rid of the E. I can't explain that one exactly, but I know that there's a lie in every list. I don't really trust it. Okay, I don't really trust it, but that's the other thing is if you look at the word, okay, there's an I and a T, so there's less of it, right? The L and the S. This is how we do this. Less it. There's less of it in the list, so it's 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 a give and take sort of thing. Now, with the logical word here, logical's an interesting word. Obviously, people think it has something to do with thinking, something to do with putting like words together, or something like that. But words, okay, are the building blocks of meaning. Okay, so when you take a log and you stack that log on another log, you start to get a building. If you put enough logs together, you could have an entire home. Okay, a log I call home. That's where logical comes from. The log I call home. So when you put the things together and they fit correctly, like in a home, the log I call home, like in the word logical, that's where you get all that meaning from. That's where logical, where people are thinking it has to do with like thought and words and fitting together, it actually came from somebody building a log home, and that's where we get the word logical. The, there's a lot of people don't see the significance and the beauty of words and their meaning. I mean, there's a lot that you can do with this. You know, if you check this out. Check this out. If you push for what you want hard enough, you push and you press and you push and you press. Eventually, you're going to make a dent in this world. Okay, you push and you press in this world. You push and you press, and you're going to make a dent. You could do that. You could be one of the ones that becomes president. You get what you understand? If you press hard enough, you make a dent in this world, and you could be president. Press a dent. That's how that works. And I am talking about president, not precedent, which is a completely different word, which they say has something to do with a first of its kind, a precedent. But the fact of the matter is, maybe, maybe just maybe, the president is a first of its kind. Because has there ever been the same president more than once? I guess there has. There's a precedent for that. He pressed a dent in the world so hard that he was president more than once, and that's where you got a new precedent. That's the old precedent, which set a precedent to be the president. I think we figured it out. That's what I'm going to do. Not become president per se, but I'll think on it. I think I got a pretty good idea about what I could do in this world with. All right. Now, where do you think the word drink comes from? Where do you think that word drink comes from? Drink. Der. Der sounds a lot like tur, which you would think. You would think means turn. Okay, you got to turn somewhere to find the drink that you're about to drink, right? But that's not it at all. You got to do. So it's not a T, it's a D. So therefore, the ending letter changes. Instead of an N, it's an M. Okay, and what you have with drink is derm. DERM. Okay, and then you have skin, right? So when you're about to have a drink, it's about nourishing your skin. Okay, and then you're gonna the rink. I'll show you right now. I got a cup right here, and this is its rink. Okay, the rim of the drink. Every time, it doesn't matter what you're drinking from. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. It's a rim, like a skating rink has a rim. And that's why you've got the rink that you're sucking down to nourish your derm. Drink. Some of these words maybe a child could not figure out. And that's why it takes an expert. But that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you understand. Now, we'll take the word understand. Okay. And some people would think it's really easy because you stand up and you go under and then you get it, right? Well, that's only if you drop something and you're trying to pick up something that you dropped because you were standing up and you got to go under yourself in order to pick up the thing that you dropped. Not everybody drops something, right? So we got to put everything in a context when we're trying to understand the meaning of words, okay? The thing is, here's the thing. It's not about you standing. It's about a stand. It's about a stand, right? So you got a stand and it's got a top to it. Okay? That top, okay? That top blocks your vision, your sight from seeing what's underneath. Okay? So you got to go under the stand in order to figure things out. In order to figure out what's going on underneath, you got to go under the stand. And that's why the very first time anybody ever thought that word up, they looked under the stand that they were standing on to figure out if it was going to work to stand on. And when they figured it out and they said, "This is going to work for me," somebody said, "You understand. You are under the stand right now. And now you're on the stand." So they say, well, on the stand doesn't sound as good, so understand. Because it came before on the stand, so it became understand as the word that meant the fact that you figured out that it was going to be the stand, it was going to work for you. And then it came to mean figuring things out. What do we got here? What do we got here? We got Say America 321. You saying hi? I got 4 viewers. You got to be kidding me. You know what? I think I can figure out some numbers. Let's do some numbers. All right. We're going to figure out the numbers tonight. Okay. We're going to go with the number 2. Okay. Now, if there's just one of something, one is like I won the race, right? One, the number 1. But the reason 1 is the number 1 is because if you won the race, you're in first place. And that's why 1 is because if you won the race, you'd be in first place. I think you get the picture, right? But the number 2, if you have the number 2, well, it's me and you too, right? So if it's me and you too that are going to do the thing that we're going to do, then there's 2 of us. It's you too, right? So you two and me and you too are going to go to do the thing, and that's where 2 comes from, because it's me and you too. You got to, like, just think about it this way: 2 means also, right? And that's why 2 is the second number, because it's not just 1; it's 1 also 2. So 1, 2. When we move on to 3, there's something really important. If you take a tree and you drop the H, if you take a tree and you add H, that's why you have 3. I said that wrong the first time. I was trying to fix that. I don't want to confuse people by any chance. So 3 comes after 2, because in a tree, you usually have 3 branches. At least the kind of trees that they saw when they made that word up is a 3-branch tree. There's probably another reason. I think it has something. I know what it has to do with. Here it is. The H. So you got 1, 2, 3, right? Okay. 1, 2, 3. So the H is the extra letter that tree doesn't have. Okay. So that H You write an H, you got 1, 2, 3. You see that? You got 3 points on an H. 1, 2, 3. Tip of the top and the 2 buttons. So 1, 2, 3. 3 dots on an H. You think that's a coincidence? You think that's a coincidence? I think that's exactly where 3 came from, was the fact that there's three right in the H. And that's what the tree has to do with the the the, the number 3. Now 4 is really interesting because if you're going to get a gift for somebody, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think on that one. 4. That's tricky. I don't even know what to do with that. That's confusing as all get out. My drink will help me figure that out, though. The drink that will nourish my germ. Mm-mm-mm. Hey, what we got going on over here? I can't even find my mouse. What is happening? I am as blind as a bat. I bet you're wondering how I can see, huh? Let me get really close. Let me get really close so I can help you see how I can see. I wonder if I see how. Oh, there you go. There you go. Now you can see. You see the dots. You can see the dots. Yeah. 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 That's how I can see. Because I got polka dots, which are really special. Now, polka dots, of course, come from a musical style that correlates to the patterning of the rhythm of the holes that they make or dots that they place. So, what happens is in the laboratory and the manufacturing, they play polka music, and that's how they determine the placement of the dots. It's really they use the concept of cymatics or something like that, um, which the cymatics are really special. You, here, let me tell you about cymatics before we get on to some of these logs I can see, the logs I call home, the logical fallacies. I don't want to fall down yet. We're gonna roll on that for a minute, but let me tell you about cymatics, okay? So we got cymatics, which is really just a combination of two concepts, science and math, okay? And the way that those two things correlate is cymatics has everything to do with science and frequency, which you can't have frequency if you don't have math. So cymatics comes from math and science. Yeah, I'll show you a picture. Ooh, flies. Yes, yes. Somebody with as bad vision as I have, when I wear these, it's like my eyes have been healed and I can see the world, kinda. But it is really impressive. If you don't have a prescription, which is the ability to write um, before you shun something, which is like you're turning away from it. I don't really know why that makes any sense. Prescription's a funny word. Might be another one of them old timeline. They changed the historical timeline again. I don't know. I don't even know what I was saying either. I was going to talk about cymatics. I was going to show you a picture of cymatics, which is the combination of science and math. Cymatics. Cymatics. Let's do this. Image. Cymatics.fm. Well, that's fascinating. Look at that. That is math and science at its best. Math and science. Math and science. What is cymatics.fm? The number one serum. What in the name of production to the? Oh, okay. Okay, I don't know why they talk about serum. That's gross. Serum is just disgusting. You're talking about syrup, but with an M instead of P. Mm, I don't get that at all. Can somebody find me a resource? I need a list of words that people take out of context all the time, and I'd like to address some of those words and give those people a better understanding of what those words really mean in their phenomenological appropriate understanding. Because if you ain't being phenomenological, you ain't being nothing at all. And I want to help people understand the true understanding, the true learning of words. So if somebody could give me a list of words like politic or government or any other word of that kind of style and type, just list them in the chat. Just list them in the chat. And I will break them words down like you have never believed. Like you would have never known. Although it's as easy enough for a child to understand. I'm here to help rewrite your historical timeline and help you re-embrace the child inside of you. Because a lot of people have lost touch with the child inside of them. And I'm going to help rewrite that timeline, that historical timeline that we are living in right now that might get changed at any moment. I'll help write it for you and teach you what those words mean. So we'll start, yeah, mental. So mental's really easy, okay? People thinking it has to do with thinking, okay? What it really has to do with, okay, is tall men, okay? And only tall men know how to think. Now, I myself am not a tall man, so I don't rely on thinking to do my talking. Wait a minute. Uh, yeah, I'm not a tall man. I'm like 5'7". Not a very tall man. But there's another understanding, depending on the context, which is always important. Context matters. Context matters. You won't hear me say nothing besides context matters. And that is that sometimes mental's not a good word. Some people use that as a negative word, and it could be a really bad thing. So maybe tall men are actually crazy. That works. There's a lot of crazy tall men. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I thought it was easy, but it's actually kind of complicated. We'll be real. But let's talk about words that are not compound words, but you can think of them like they're a compound word. And I'll give you, yeah, amen. Amen is a contradiction because you're talking about one, but also a group. So altogether one. It's like the Three Musketeers. When people say amen, what they're really saying is that altogether we are one, and it's a concept of unity and positivity and togetherness. That's what amen really means if you think about it. If you think about it, altogether one, it makes sense, it works, and it gives you a deeper understanding. It gives you a deeper understanding. What was another one of these words? Conscience. Yeah. Well, you see, con is a liar. Okay, somebody that is kind of like a thief or is tricked. He's going to trick you. So if you got conscience, what you really have is somebody that tricks and lies about science. Okay, so you got to really watch out for conscience because it might just mess you up. It might give you I don't know, it might mess things up for you. If you listen to the conscience, okay, it's somebody that's going to trick you about science. It might, you might know something, right? Because that's what science, they say, means, has something to do with knowing, right? But if you have con science, then it's somebody that's going to trick you about what you know and might be telling you something different than what you think you know if you listen to conscience. A lot of people don't like to listen to conscience. So conscience is a really special word. And it all depends on whether you want to make the decision to listen to your conscience. Because it might just trip you up on what you thought you know. See, there are so many ways to understand words. I could take you on a trip better than Aladdin ever dreamed taking Jasmine, which why Jasmine was a girl always confused me. I thought she would be like somebody like Louis Armstrong when I heard about Jasmine, because you think about like some famous jazz man, but Jasmine she'd be playing no instrument at all in that movie that I can remember. And Aladdin, he was young, but he wasn't a lad. Not really. Not really. You would think he was a lad, and you would think he was raised in a den like a den of wolves. Which kind of works, kind of makes sense, but he wasn't much of a lad either. But I could take you on a trip like Aladdin wouldn't even imagine. Like the Spanish word parasol literally tells us for and the sun. Oh, well, I think if I had to guess, I would think the parasol would actually you got Saul. Well, I would just think I don't have one. I don't have one on me, but a saw. You got something you chop down the tree with, the saw, and you got two of them. Now it could be a two-handled saw, or it could be two saws. But a parasol, to me, just makes sense that it would mean two saws. And if that's used to block out the sun, then it might not be the most efficient tool for the job. But that's just me. I don't know for sure. Parasite. Oh yeah, yeah. Parasite. You gotta have two eyes to see right. So a parasite. You sight in one eye, sight in the other. You got parasite. That makes sense. Everybody wants parasite. Everybody wants parasite because if you just have unisite, I've heard that you lose your depth perception. I don't even know. I feel like I skipped something I was going to talk about. All right. What is an a priori argument? Let's learn about this a priori argument. Because here's one of the things that I can tell you I'm an expert at not ever committing any logical fallacy. And if you just roll back time, readdress this historical timeline that we've been on for the past hour and then a little bit some, roll back time. Okay, you can do that in this historical timeline. And you could listen to everything that I just said, and you will have proof that I am an expert. Okay, I would call myself really uh, a, a pert because I still pert. I'm not an expert. I'm actually a full pert of the pertinent knowledge to sticking to not doing logical fallacies. I know some people that would be experts, like, but they're not perts. because they used to be experts. I'm still a pert. Some people are experts, but I'm still a pert. I can do some logical fallacy adhesion or adherence, or uh, I don't know which one of those words makes the most sense. One of them does. One of them does. A priori argument. It's also known as rationalization, which rationalization is a really, you take a portion of something, a ration, take a portion of something, okay, and you lie about how much you have to the nation, like the government, which we'll discuss the government later. But you lie about how much you have so that you can get more. That's what a rationalization is. Lie about what you have so that you can get more. Rationalization. Okay. Um, Dogmatism. Now, you got rheumatism and then you got dogmatism. Rheumatism, it means you got something going on when you're in a certain room. It's like pain and stuff. Okay. But dogmatism is particularly referring to two different things. You're either your dog is having a problem, or more metaphorically, um, it's referring to your feet. Okay, you got pain in your feet with the dogmatism, so you got to be careful with that. Proof texting. Now, when you're proofing something, uh, you gotta put the bread in the oven, um, with just a warm oven, not hot, and usually you proof it for anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on the recipe. Um, and then what, you just text in the meantime, you just do some texting. I don't think that's what that means, but it seems to make some sense to me, so we're just going to stick with that. A corrupt argument from logos, starting with a given preset belief, dogma, doctrine, scripture, verse, fact, or conclusion, and then searching for any or reasonable sounding argument uh, to rationalize, defend, or justify it. Certain ideologues and religious fundamentalists are proud to use this fallacy as their primary method of reasoning, and some are even honest enough to say so. Okay. Since we know there is no such thing as evolution, a prime duty of the believer is to look for ways to explain away growing evidence, such as found in DNA. This is the example that they're given for a priori argument with no bias at all, I might add. They're not biased against religious people at all, not in the slightest. That might suggest otherwise. Talk about building a straw man, if you ask me. I think that they might just be building a little bit of a straw man, but that's just me. That's just me. See also the argument from ignorance. Okay, the opposite of the fallacy is the taboo. Okay, okay. A priori argument. Hmm. Is anything that I did an a priori argument? I'd say no, probably not, because I'm a master. I'm the leader of the ship. So there's no way that I could commit a logical fallacy in my explanation. Now let me talk about government. Let me talk about this word government. If if I were if I were to go down the road of a priori argument, I would have some type of belief about the government, like, I don't know, something like the government does mind control, for instance, right? And then I would take the word government and I would make it sound like it was a compound word, two words put into one, and I would say govern means to control, and ment is the mind, control the mind. And that would hypothetically be a sort of a priori argument, which is a logical fallacy. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that at all. What I would say, okay, is gov is very, very similar to give. Okay, give. Okay, and we know that earn is like tur, but it's missing the T. Instead of missing the N in tur, earn is missing the T in turn. Okay, so you give, you turn, and you mint it. Okay, so when you look at what the government does, they give you something, they turn away, but they meant what they did. They meant it. And that, my friend, is only one possible understanding of the word government. Another way. Now, I don't have any, but we could pretend. See, what I have here is a little box. Whoa, too many of them falling out. Yeah, I'll show you. It's not poison. It's not poison. It's zinc. It's just zinc. It's an antioxidant and immune support. This is not medical advice or information at all. I'm just reading the container, letting you know that I got me a little white thing out of this bottle that says zinc, and we're going to pretend that it's a mint so I can make an illustration. Okay? So we're going to take this glass right here, and I'm going to be the gov. I'm going to be the gov. Let's grab my handy dandy water. Handy dandy water. Pour some water in. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Who doesn't keep a handy dandy gallon of water next to their desk? That's the only way. That's the only way. I keep a gallon of water next to my desk and I refill it over and over again. I know. I know. All right, listen here. Sometimes people got bad breath, okay? They call it halitosis because there was a man named Halitosis that had horrible breath, and they named it after him, halitosis. So they call it halitosis. It means you have the worst breath, like halitosis. Nobody wants to have hal breath. Ugh, that's the worst. So you give her a mint, okay? You give her a mint. What you do is you put a little water, and you give her a mint. That's all. As simple as that. That was zinc. I didn't need that zinc, but I took it. It was pretending to be a mint. Don't treat vitamins and minerals like candy, kids. But I am not a medical professional, so maybe you should listen to your medical professional for advice on whether or not to treat minerals and vitamins like mints. But for the purposes of this demonstration, it was a mint. Alrighty. I mean, I'm not sure what's going to happen now that I took that zinc. My speculation is nothing. But there are some people that think that government means mind control, and I'm here to tell you right now, though I respect their endeavor in trying to fully help people understand the meaning of words in a deeper and more meaningful contextual phenomenological way, did I say that right? Phenomenological. That's the right. Good grief. Not phenomenological. That doesn't even make no kind of sense. Phenomenological is what I was trying to say this whole time. I hope I said that right all them other times. But if you're trying to teach people to be more phenomenological in the way that they understand their words, and you're trying to tell people government means mind control, and you're trying to say that government is two words put together, I say check your etymology. That's what I say. You might need to be careful about that one. And when you say pole of ticks, and you have a tick, that disgusting little creature goes into your skin, starts digging in, sucking your blood and stuff, starts digging in and sucking you up. And you get a stack of them. You get a stack of these ticks. You got a pole of ticks, and you try to understand that somebody that calls themselves a pole of tick. I'm not sure that I'd want to trust that person either. But I would tell you to check your etymology on that, because what politic actually stands for, okay, is gross politeness. Okay, let me explain. Let me explain. You got polite, okay? You got polite, and then you have ick, ick. All right. So you got polite, ick. That's really where that word came from, because you got these people that are dressing up all nice, like they got their tie, they got what they're looking like all nice and stuff. They're treating everybody kind, they're shaking people's hands, being really polite. Okay. But to the degree of politeness that makes people go ick. Or there's one other way that that could be seen. There is another way. There is another way. And that other way is I see politeness. Now, there's two ways to look at that I see, right? It could be I see it, right? I see your politeness, Mr. Man in the suit shaking people's hands and kissing babies. Okay. It could be that, but it could also be a cold politeness, right? The type of politeness that gives you a little bit of the chills, a little bit of the creeps. And I call that icy politeness politic. So there's a lot of different ways you can break down these words and get greater and deeper understanding and meaning, which we broke down understand, you know? And I'm hoping that after an hour and a half of me fully divulging the esoteric meanings of words, that you learned something, that you learned it. Okay. Now with learn, there's something kind of special about learn. Learn is where you take an R and you lean. You take the R out of things. Okay. It's not mine. It's not yours. It's ours. And we're going to take that out. And we're going to lean on something else. And that's what learning is. You're leaning on something else. Learning. Because you can't lean on yourself. It doesn't even make any sense. So you have to lean on something else. That's how you learn. If you keep on doing this with words, it'll all make sense. Okay? And you'll make some sense. As in money. Because you'll be saying things that impress people so much, they just want to give you money. I thought I heard something. Heard, like a group of animals that join together and they go down the way because you heard them. That's where that came from. You see, when you put one animal that's running in fields, you might not hear that. But if you put a lot of animals in the field and they're all running together, you're going to hear that. So the way that the word herd came from is somebody came and running. And they came running, they came and they said, I just heard the animals. And they said, there's a herd of animals. That's how that happened. That's where that came from. That's where that came from. All right. I'm done with the LARP. That was a long LARP, almost an hour and a half. No context provided. I didn't really help anybody understand what I was doing there. But I encounter people all of the time who use horrible logic and say the most horrendously false things about words, who have what appears to be a hatred for etymology. And I go a little bit crazy on the inside every time I hear somebody say something that is fallacious. They'll go to the extent of taking a word like fallacious and being like, and that correlates to the movie Friday with the character Felicia, who was always in the wrong. And that's how, like, when I said that my LARP wouldn't be good enough, it isn't. I think I had a couple of clever ones in there. Um, I think I had a couple of clever examples, but I couldn't even express how profoundly moronic and negligent of truth and actual the actual reality and meaning of words, of etymology specifically. I I can't even demonstrate it. I'm not as creative as I may be, which I think I have a tiny bit of creativity. I'm limited in my ability to even go there. It's bad. It's really bad. Like, what's this? See if it says it on it. I guess it doesn't. Uh, Whoops, it's upside down. Nah, whatever. This thing right here. There you go. And I'll show you the other side. Boom. Ooh, ooh. There we go. Boom. All right. So that is a shekel, right? There are people that'd be like, it means to shake God. Like, there are people that just hate truth so much, or they want to look cool so much. They're either so stupid or so egotistical. It's got to be one of those. But it is special and it is frustrating. And don't be that person. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. Maybe I'll address the topic in a more formal way and less LARPy way next time. But for now, I will just say, whew, our way. Your way, it's bad. Follow Yahweh, not your way.